October, and I am false opinionator Kevin Hoare, and I'm here with wrong speaker David Darnell.
Yes, I am wrong Speaker Darnell. I will be running for Speaker of the House.
Well, and there might be a new one 2 weeks from now, even if you don't win, so you could just kind of hang in there.
Yeah, I just thought I'd get my slogan in early. Wrong Speaker Darnell. For those that sit in the chamber that want to hear some wrong speak, which is a slight majority of people that should want to hear some wrong speak, but more often than not, we find that they all seem to enjoy the same speak. Big government speak. That's what they like.
Big government speak. And that's the big news of the day. For the first time in U.S. history, the House of Representatives has voted to oust the Speaker of the House. House Democrats were voted in unison and were joined by 8 Republicans voting for Representative Matt Gaetz's motion to remove Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And the unofficial vote tally was 216 to 210, which does underscore just how close the House of Representatives is. It's only a 5-vote margin, and 8 voted to oust him. The probably the biggest surprise. First of all, Representative Tom Cole of Oklahoma made a motion to table the effort, but it failed. And then the biggest surprise amongst the Republicans, because the rest of them were pretty much the norm, was Representative Nancy Mace, moderate Republican from North Carolina, voted to remove him. And so now the Representative Patrick McHenry, which I guess must be a long-serving or older guy, he's the Speaker pro tempore, and he is now serving as the temporary Speaker of the House. However, as long as there's no Speaker, like everything in the House of Representatives comes to a halt, like no business can be conducted, basically, no bills.
Thank God.
Well,
God, let's keep it that way.
Well, that is probably the positive side to it. I'm not sure that this is really that wise a political move, because just about everybody I heard talk about this said that that had something wise to say, and not just an axe to grind with Kevin McCarthy. That they were saying that the biggest problem is this House of Representatives actually doesn't have the power to do a lot of the things, even with a thin majority like this, that you actually need a larger margin, and you also need this U.S. Senate, and ideally you win the presidency, and then you can actually do stuff. Up until then, all you can do is not do stuff, and of course, if the efforts aren't aimed at trying to make sure that more people get elected, then it probably won't accomplish much. And this probably won't accomplish much, actually. So, Kevin McCarthy has said that he will not seek to reclaim the Speaker's gavel in the next leadership fight. So he's just going to step out of leadership altogether. And there does seem to be something personal between Matt Gaetz and Speaker McCarthy, which Matt Gaetz denies. But then I think this had something to do, potentially. Certainly their relationship was not one that was ever going to be a good one, because I don't know, but I think Kevin McCarthy probably wasn't very helpful to Matt Gaetz when he was facing his federal child sex ring investigation, which was, I think, bogus, or at least exaggerated. I don't know. I don't remember all the details of that. But Matt Gaetz says it was just because he suspected Kevin McCarthy he said that they passed that continuing resolution to get 45 days more to resolve the government appropriation stuff. Right. And so that was something that, yes, indeed, did happen, and it happened with a combination of Republican and Democrat votes. but not with a majority of Republican votes. And so that was one thing. And then supposedly, although McCarthy denied it, there's supposedly some deal to bring Ukraine funding to the floor of the House sometime in the next 45 days as a separate bill. And anyway, there's all kinds of crap that's flying through the air. And now they begin a process to find a successor, which involves the House caucus has to meet, the House Republicans have to meet, they have to nominate somebody. And whoever they do nominate then is going to be at least one of the candidates they're going to put to the floor. And of course, this has to be, the Speaker is the only position in leadership that has to be voted on by the entire House of Representatives, and doesn't even have to be a member of the House of Representatives. But at this point in time, it looks like it could be a free-for-all. They're talking about Steve Scalise, although he hasn't been in the best of health. So I don't really know what's going to happen, and nor does anyone else. And I'm pretty sure that that donations are ground to a halt, which is probably not going to help next year, but we'll see. And that's where we're at.
Yeah. Well, I am going to, in fact, be the next speaker. As you pointed out, you don't have to be a member of the House to become Speaker. So I will be Wrong Speaker Darnell, as my moniker shows. And I promise that we will get absolutely nothing done.
Well,
we will grind everything to a halt. We won't fund anything. The only thing that we're going to do is not spend money.
And I think that the biggest issue, the biggest challenge we face at this point is that this might be a very temporary stay for Republicans in leadership if they don't figure out how to.
Well, yeah. I don't, like I said before the show, and you rightly called politics a Greek tragedy in which the players are occasionally have to get elected. I mean, about 50% of politics, maybe more, is grudge and vendetta and vengeance. We know that, but also, I don't really celebrate anything that brings delight to Democrats, and of course, Democrats are delighted about this.
Yeah, they're thrilled. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're not talking about the border right now. We're not talking about Biden inflation and Bidenomics. We're not talking about how what they're screwing up in foreign policy and the dangers that are lurking. We're not talking about the cyber problems that the entire government is, all of our personal information is being stolen. These are just stories that I've seen in the last few days. And we aren't talking about the fact that the Biden administration is going to do a whole bunch of things to kind of mess with your kitchen appliances and your home appliances. And they aren't actually doing anything about the rampant crime, which is going to be one of the stories we'll talk about here in a second, that seems to have besieged the capital city itself. They're just trying to out Portland. But like I said, we'll talk about that in a minute, because we're not done with the poop show that is DC. There's more to talk about, because ironically enough, any other day, these other things would have been the top stories, right? Congressman Bowman, a progressive, pulled the fire alarm over the weekend when they were voting on this continuing resolution on Saturday.
Wasn't it just the door opening button?
Yeah, it was the door opening button, which, why would a career high school principal know how a fire alarm works? He would just, of course, immediately mistake it for a way to open a door that he's gone through many times.
Right.
And so, and apparently
a red device on the wall that says fire alarm. We assume he can read.
Well, I don't know if he's in charge of a school that doesn't teach kids to read. Maybe it's just not high on his list either. That's describing many schools in Oregon, as we know. But this guy, he did this, and he kind of expects to get away with it, even though, as has been pointed out repeatedly, this is pretty much the same thing they accuse every person who went in and looked for a restroom in the Capitol building on January 6th of doing, which is disrupting a federal congressional proceeding.
It's worse than what Mike Neerman did.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially putting it into that same category, and I just know that it won't happen that way. The guy is lying his butt off, and Democrats actually do usually get away with lying.
Yeah,
So
they do. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it seems like, if in fact there were a fourth estate, if in fact there were some institution that would hold these people accountable, they are not doing their job, apparently.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing will happen to him. He won't go to jail for 22 years like those people that were given a guided tour by Capitol Police on January 6th.
Well, and I think he'll claim that it's racist if he's prosecuted, which apparently hasn't worked for any of the people that showed up.
Oh, that's right. He's not white, is he?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the head of the Proud Boys is Hispanic,
Mm-hmm.
a famous white nationalist who's Hispanic,
Mm-hmm.
and so I guess that it doesn't really matter. It's all crap. Everything they say, it's total garbage, and but they say they're investigating it. I don't believe it. Maybe the new speaker will handle that. David, take it on your platform.
You know what? I'm gonna bring forth a resolution to throw him out.
There we go. I say that's pretty appropriate, and of course that's what's been done by Democrats in other instances, like they did with Mike Ehrman, and
the Republicans in Oregon all 100% agreed to throw him out.
Yeah. Well, so there's another piece of news that, again, would have been the headline had it been another day. I'm going to just skip
where's Gates working for? Is he working for the spin machine or the cover-up machine? Or
I know. Did
he get paid off to do this, to hide something that we haven't even heard about yet?
He said Kevin McCarthy had to go because he used Democrat votes to pass a temporary funding resolution so that they could buy time to come up with a way to pass the appropriations bills. And his solution was to go vote with Democrats to remove the Speaker of the House. So I don't get it. But if it's bad for one, it's bad for the other. And I don't think that let's see what answers they have, because I don't think he gets to do this again. Gates, I don't think he gets to do this before somebody just goes over and strangles him. Right. And by the way, that's entirely possible, because depending on where he lives in DC, he could enjoy the same potential fate as Representative Henry Cuellar, Democrat from Texas, who was carjacked yesterday evening at gunpoint. He was not harmed, but 3 gentlemen came up to him. I guess he was he was in the Washington's Navy Yard neighborhood, which is kind of known for not being a super awesome area in terms of crime. It's one of those places where they've gentrified so they could put black Hispanic congressmen there, I guess. But he was carjacked, actually. And I guess he lives there in that area, an apartment complex.
Navy Yard, is that the area?
Yeah, Navy Yard. Yeah. And it used to be Navy Yards, right? But I guess it's now like little condos and stuff. And so crime in DC.
Didn't he like show his credentials and say, "Don't you know who I am?"
They took his phone and his wallet anyway. So I don't know. Telling him that he's a congressman probably just made them want to do it more at this point, the way things are going. But he's unharmed. I haven't heard him actually say much after this. There have been no arrests yet, which is a typical thing. We're used to that in Portland, where it's like the police say, "We don't have anybody to investigate this. Please send us information for free to help catch the person that we don't know who it was." And that's the last you hear of it. So that's probably the same thing here. And there is no special Secret Service protecting these guys when they go to their homes. There's the Capitol Police when you're at the Capitol building, but that's it. There's nothing else. The city itself is just completed their 200th homicide last week, a 35% jump from this point 1 year prior. And this city's
1 year
also
prior was way up too, wasn't it?
yeah, so it's been year on year skyrocketing because since you guys were there, when they thought the biggest danger was that there would be MAGA Republicans in town.
Yes, killing everyone, murdering and marauding and stealing and burning buildings.
Yep, that kind of stuff.
People with horns.
Yeah, in Wookiee outfits,
Yeah.
unarmed, of course. Law and order has deteriorated so much in September. They held a special safety meeting at the Capitol building to discuss tips for staffers to minimize the risk of becoming the victim of violent crime, particularly carjackings, which have been very common. The mayor of D.C., I have not heard any comment from the mayor of D.C., but the mayor of D.C., she doesn't have any time for this anyway. She's got more important things to do, like being woke.
The council president or something had a comment saying that there's no crime problem in D.C.
That's
no. There's like no increase in crime. It's not like, I mean, this is just normal crime.
Well, then that council member should go out and try to see how long it takes to get carjacked by just wandering aimlessly through some crime-ridden neighborhoods and see what happens.
Yeah,
that's only fair.
Yeah, wonder what kind of car he was driving.
I don't know. Probably a nice one. He's been a congressman for a while. They all seem to get rich after not too long.
Yeah.
Legalized insider trading and stuff like that. At least the Democrat ones do. Usually Republicans have some money before they go in. Democrats always seem to show up with like giant investment funds, just to feel like Nancy Pelosi, literally almost a billionaire.
Yeah. She's inside trader of the year.
She has had a record that can't be touched by anyone on Wall Street for just guessing the best. She's famous for that.
There are people who follow her investments and invest in what she invests in.
Well, and on any other day, the other news of the day would have been a headline, which is Hunter Biden actually was arraigned in court today, so that he could show up, plead not guilty to what is pretty obviously a crime he's guilty of. And I'm just going to say that, even if we want to throw in the word alleged crime. And yet I'm looking at the headlines and he literally got squeezed off the headline pages in the span of just a few hours. This is, it's amazing actually, but he is probably going to face prosecution. And I think there's a 99.99, like his infinite nines, chance that President Brandon, his father, is going to pardon him entirely and say that his son is the smartest guy he's ever known and he made a mistake and he loves his son, like all the Democrats are saying. And that's apparently enough to say that crime doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. And of course, there will be no charges filed against him or anyone else for, I don't know, taking some $20 million from China and Ukraine oligarchs and wives of Moscow mayors and what have you.
Yeah, that's a really tangled web, and I wonder if how those investigations are going to shake out with McCarthy, with no speaker.
I know it's really going to throw a monkey wrench into everything, and it literally is, to me, from a political and PR point of view, it's stealing defeat from the jaws of victory in terms of the issues and whether aligned.
Republicans are good at that.
We are very good at that. And actually, Joe Biden has been the beneficiary of nothing that is indicating that he is intelligent or clever, but just, crash happens and he benefits.
He likes ice cream.
He does like ice cream. That is something he's also excellent at, is eating ice cream and looking stupid and it apparently not changing anything. But
And embarrassing the United States of America all over the world.
yeah, no, that's about it. And meanwhile, President Trump was arraigned in court in New York for the crime of apparently being optimistic about the value of his Trump branded assets in the state of New York and elsewhere. And a judge who apparently is an expert on valuing wealthy properties, has decided that he's overvalued those. They're canceling his business license in New York, and they're claiming that he owes $250 million in fines to the state of New York. And it's for loans that were taken and fully paid back with interest to banks. So there's like no one was harmed in any of this. And but because Trump actually went and said that the person in a court clerk who was sitting next to Chuck Schumer, he apparently did a post on Truth Social that said that he thought that was probably Chuck Schumer's girlfriend, which I wonder if it's true. But the judge then issued a gag order prohibiting Trump or any party in the case from posting or speaking publicly about his staff. And that was it. So they've imposed some kind of gag order on President Trump, which will probably not work at all. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it's election interference is what I think it is. And I think Trump has rightly called it so. And they're doing everything they possibly can to, to tarnish Trump and before the election and now shut him up, gag him. And it wouldn't surprise me if Trump will say something and he'll get a contempt of court charge.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be almost a certainty. And they're just going to continue acting like he's just another defendant, except actually they're going to act like he's a defendant that is deserving of special justice that is unfair. And
right, yeah,
keep happening.
Yeah, the unequal application of law, I think, is what we're experiencing, or what he is experiencing in the state of New York City or New York.
Yeah. Remember good old Bill O'Reilly? He actually is likening the Trump cases to the Salem witch trials driven by fanatics. And, Trump, Bill O'Reilly hasn't always been kind to Trump. He's interviewed him, but he also likes to, stick it to him. And I think he's calling it like it is in this case.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, we haven't heard much from Bill O'Reilly since he lost his Fox job for whatever.
He does a podcast. I listen to it every once in a while, but a lot less than I used to.
Yeah, I never liked him when he was on Fox. So I liked him, and then I realized that he was just, he's just an entertainer. He's a populist, I guess you might say, put it that way.
And he does have that in common to some extent with President Trump, but and the only thing I did like about him at a time when it wasn't common was that he would actually challenge Democrats when they used to come on Fox and say a bunch of talking points crap, and then he would challenge them. Fox has kind of gone back to not really doing that so much anymore,
right?
Which is why I've soured a bit on it. There's still some people that are very good, and I like them. Mark Levin, of course, Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld, but they're all really unconventional people on Fox, and I tend to watch Newsmax a lot more now.
Yeah, I still don't watch any news. But about the only, I guess the only television news you could say that I watch is I do enjoy Tucker's shows. So
yeah, when they used to be on.
Right? Never watched Tucker Carlson on Fox because I just don't watch Fox or CNN or any of those things. But yeah, I'm really enjoying his ability to say and do and interview and question and posit anything he so desires. It must be very freeing for him as well.
Yes. Well, and it is satisfying to listen to people actually just say stuff without caring what the management thinks. of whatever entity they're working for. That's great. I think it's actually a very positive thing. But, we still have a media problem outside of Newsmax and Fox. We just have a media sphere that is either campaigning or misinforming everyone,
Or covering up.
covering up.
Campaigning, covering up, regurgitating press releases, or just misinforming. The spin, the spin, Kevin. I listen to radio occasionally while I'm driving. So on radio, you get those news breaks, and I can't recall exactly what the news service is on the news breaks that I listen to. But the way that the headlines are crafted, even on those news breaks, which are usually on a channel that's conservative talk radio, it's just absolutely incredible. I heard, what was it? I heard there was just a news blurb that said that Kari Lake, the failed gubernatorial candidate who has yet to concede, has announced she's running for senator.
Yeah, that's the way it was phrased, right?
That shit. I mean, God.
Well, it's designed to make sure that even if you have almost no attention span and all you see is a headline and you just scroll past it with a picture, that's the message you'll get.
Yeah, and that's where you, where's Larry? I don't know what happened to Larry.
Hey, Larry.
We did have another person. Scoot came in to tell us that queer people are not evil. I don't know why, because we never said they were, but
I don't think we even talked about that. No, but we are going to get to something here that's probably going to ruffle whoever that is, their feathers. By the way, I just saw, and I had missed this earlier because it got lost in the soup of headlines, that there is a resolution that has been brought to expel Democrat Representative Bowman over the fire alarm episode. So let's see what happens. That's Nicole Malliotakis. She's used to be, I think, the youngest member of the House of Representatives and she's from New York. And so maybe they'll do something here. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to predict votes in the House of Representatives now. No way.
Yeah, all I can hope for is that the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate don't do anything. That's all I can really hope for.
Yeah, at this point, that's the best case scenario because it doesn't look like they're going to do anything good if they have the votes.
No. Well, the CRs are, just an indication of the complete abdication of their duties. It's enumerated in the Constitution. The House will, dispense the money, and they just don't do it.
No, they don't. And I think there's potential, like on the margins, little things can be done, but I think for the most part, bad things might get stopped. That's about the best thing that could happen, is that you just say this ain't going to pass, and then it doesn't get included in the bill, right?
Right.
Do it. But beyond that, everything that they do should be aimed at figuring out how to enlarge their numbers in Congress and to win the Senate. And if they don't do that, then they're just,
Well, even beyond that, I mean, we saw all three. We saw both houses in the White House occupied by Republicans for 2 years, and they didn't get a damn thing done. They didn't repeal Obamacare. They did not defund Planned Parenthood. So what the hell's the difference to me?
The only thing they did do is they did pass the Trump tax cuts. I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah. I appreciated that. I paid
even though that was actually passed very narrowly, though they had a larger margin then. So
yeah.
And the only reason why they didn't do something to get rid of Obamacare is because John McCain, a senator at the time, switched his vote and voted against it in a closely divided Senate, and it didn't pass. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And look what happened to John McCain.
I'm not sure there's a cause and effect, but I do think that he is not remembered by Republicans as fondly. That's why Joe Biden actually goes out there and to any commemoration or that he can to John McCain, to pay a pilgrimage to wherever John McCain is buried. He goes to the swing state of Arizona
Right.
and praises John McCain. That's what he does. That's what you too can actually, if you become speaker and then you figure out how to make Joe Biden really happy with something, he too might actually come to your funeral location and lodge you. Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, I can do that. I mean, I can make sure there's ice cream at the State of the Union.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wonder if some ice. What happens if you throw ice cream? If it can it reach all the way? Anyway.
Well, we'll see if he can catch.
Yeah. Of course, that would be.
Somebody throws ice cream at me, I'm catching the ice cream.
That's true. But that would be an ice cream insurrection. Probably can't do that. Unless the president's Republican, then it's fine. Then it's just making your voice heard. So there's a bit of big news here in Oregon that is worth talking about. An Oregon middle school yesterday won't say whether the student filmed attacking a smaller girl is transgender. A video of a second incident allegedly involving the same attacker was shared online. This is a Fox News Online story, and I'll post it here. But what's interesting is I've been also reading that there's a number of people, since we're connected here in Washington County where this took place. There's a number of people that I now know that apparently know the victim, and you watch the video. What this is assault, and
yeah.
And you can see it's unprovoked. This girl's just walking down the hallway. You can watch the whole video. And she gets yanked from behind and then brutally punched in the face and then comes up to the camera on the phone afterwards. Now, I don't know. I guess it must be one of these things where all the kids are afraid to do something to step in and stop it, which says a lot about our schools at this point. No wonder they don't teach reading, writing, and arithmetic. They don't have time for it. They're too busy having potentially transgender beatdowns in the hallway for everyone to witness.
Some boy needs to kick his ass.
Well, that might happen, but apparently the whatever person that's been arrested has
it's a boy. It's a boy beating on a girl. It's not beating on a smaller girl. It was a boy beating up a girl.
Yeah. Who's physical advantage, significant physical advantage.
And I can't believe there's not a kid in that school that wouldn't just jump in and tromp that kid, you know?
Well, I can tell you that there's probably a parent or two that's ready to go do something about whoever let this happen.
Yeah.
And I know that would be any of us if it did. And then, of course, you get the superintendent defended the district's discipline policy, explains how students can learn from their mistakes. Oops, that was a mistake. I didn't mean to yank that person down and beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Especially for minor behavior violations, such as aggressive physical assault. Apparently, the superintendent has not experienced being yanked down from behind and brutally beaten.
That was one of 3 that's on tape by the same boy dressed as a girl, by the way.
Yes, that's right.
Beating up on girls.
And but said that, you know, minor behavioral violations, including bullying and physical contact, that is not assault. So I don't know what this superintendent is talking about, but they said zero tolerance is antithetical to our work as educators. It is safe for the victim and the school community as a whole to extend an opportunity for the student to relearn different behavior. This is what we do.
Relearn different behavior.
Freaking moron.
Yeah, well, once he gets his face beat in, he'll probably be on his way to learning different behavior. If he doesn't after getting his face beat in, then he's probably just going to end up in prison, because that's the people that don't learn from getting their face beat in for beating up on girls. That's where they end up. But
yeah, you know, fun. Although it's a juvenile, so they'll probably just go to juvie hall. But I'm not sure that's going to be fun either.
Yeah, well, you know, if it was, you know, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But the worst part about this is the superintendent is blaming the parents for sharing this video and chastising every parent in the school district for letting the word get out that was what's going on in their damn school. I'm not sure what kind of school board they have there, but they should be looking for another superintendent.
Well,
Today,
this makes it worse. So listen to this. District superintendent. So it's a female, I guess. Sue Rika Smith, hyphenated, described the second incident. So the video that we saw is the second incident. Described it as, quote, horrific, unquote, but that the incident has been addressed by schools, principal, and staff. It's all good. We got it. And then proceeded to say, now that the second video has come to our office's attention, I too am concerned about the repeated pattern and all the pieces around that. I have to get more information from the school so I can understand that incident, how it was investigated, and how it relates to the other one. That is the work ahead of me. Well, she's so busy.
Yeah.
She told parents this, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. I've said it before. If you care about your children, get them the hell out of public school. There's a lot of people that advocate for taking back the public school system. I don't advocate for that anymore. As far as I'm concerned, just shut the damn things down. Or, maybe the easy thing is just take all the kids out and just let all the whacked out teachers coming out of the whacked out universities with whacked out ideologies, just have them a place where they can draw pictures and stuff and eat candy.
Well, here's another story that underscores that point. This is the Salem Kaiser School District, closer to your old stomping grounds. And of course, we know personally somebody who is on the board of the Salem Kaiser School District. A Salem Kaiser teacher has been put on leave after a lawsuit alleges the sexual abuse against two former students. And so this, let me get to this here. The lawsuit, two unidentified students filed a $10 million lawsuit on Wednesday against teacher Josh Rist. He's 35 years old. And they're accusing Rist of, quote, grooming, unquote, and, quote, sexual abuse, unquote, between 2015 and 2020. Boy, they really raced to solve that one. When he worked as a music and choir teacher at McNary High School. After being put on administrative leave during the sexual misconduct investigation, which went from May 28th, 2021 to August 18th. The school district moved Rist to Kalapua, elementary last fall. The school sent out a message to parents Sunday night notifying them that he'd been placed on leave. Effective tomorrow, Mr. Rist will no longer be... So he had to file a $10 million lawsuit to get a guy who was investigated for sexual misconduct at one school to get suspended while working at another school. This is just... And so...
nobody's watching the store, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they said, we will assign a substitute music teacher. We look forward to the continuation of an excellent school year at Kalapua Elementary School. No talk about going and interviewing all the students that had to deal with this person. Right. But here's what it said. The lead attorney for the lawsuit says, it's shocking how many blaring warning signs and complaints are completely ignored for years and years. It makes my head explode when institutions choose to cover up predators over taking proper steps to protect their kids. When a school district plays kick the can with an abusive teacher, they need a swift culture change and some long overdue accountability. I like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a swift culture change should include a complete cleaning of the administrative offices. Super everybody, right? I mean, if you're not going to take care of the school that the school board has entrusted you with taking care of, then you should just go find another job. I'm sure there's plenty at another neighboring school district.
Well,
right.
Well, that's what they do is they just leave and go to another state, and then they get a job there where they can do what this guy did, which is apparently told one of the girls in the music class that she was a little forest nymph. And police report that Rist also told one of the girls that he had sexually explicit dreams about her, and that while giving one of the girls a massage, Rist's hands eventually moved to her butt. So, and And apparently they had to investigate that for quite a long time to figure out if it was bad. And now he's been suspended for 60 days, placed on a 3-year probation after the Tualatin School District found that he was engaged in gross negligence of duty. So, yeah, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't either. And of course, the teachers' unions will, fight to save his job, or get him sent home and pay him for the next 5 or 10 years. Schools are lost as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and that's because they really care about the kids. Don't forget, that's super important, and that's their top concern. Switching gears here, there's a couple of other things that are going on that are worth mentioning. This is a bit of a national thing, but it's going to affect you wherever you are. The Brandon administration has decided to target home appliances, and they're going to regulate them very aggressively. Among the list of I'm going to post what this list is, the article. Gas stoves, ovens, clothes washers, refrigerators, freezers, air conditioners, dishwashers, pool pumps, battery chargers, ceiling fans, dehumidifiers, microwave ovens, portable electric spas, and air compressors. And
they're going to ruin all of those devices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Brandon administration has exactly zero business regulating a single one of them. But Jennifer Granholm, the complete moron from Michigan, who's the energy secretary, who thinks that the best way to be energy secretary is to make sure that we don't have any, is talking about
use what you don't have.
Yeah, this is part of the race towards a clean energy future. What it is it's going to be a race towards no civilization. And
the 18th century. It's going to be a race to the 18th century.
Yeah, I suggest that she
whale
spend
oil
in the 18th century and then come back.
Whale oil is going to be big.
Whale oil, yeah, that's right. Nuke the whales, right? This is what they're doing. It's a real thing. And if you thought, well, hey, it's not going to affect me what's happening in DC, my life's fine. Look around your house and see if any of the things I just mentioned are in
they've already ruined gas cans. They've ruined washing machines. They've already ruined dishwashers. They've ruined air conditioners. And the big thing now, we heard it up north and from Inslee, is that it's kind of a soft ban on natural gas, that they're going to be mandating heat pumps. Pretty soon you'll have to have a heat pump water heater. You'll have to have a heat pump dishwasher. You'll have to have a heat pump dryer. And all it's going to do is add complexity, add cost, and do nothing for anyone at all. And government, as far as I'm concerned, government has absolutely no interest in our home appliances. Shouldn't have any interest in our home appliances, but as you say, they are taking that interest.
They are, and by the way, there is a hearing that's been taking place in the Oregon Court of Appeals, a suit that's been filed against the aggressive net zero. It's 50% cut in greenhouse gas emissions by 2035. That has been mandated here in the state of Oregon, and Northwest Natural, Avista, and Cascade Natural Gas are challenging it. They've been denounced by this completely biased media article by some guy that looks like a homeless person from Portland named Grant Stringer with the Oregon Capitol. I mean, look at his picture. I'll let you decide. All right. But he described them as oil and gas companies arguing against Oregon's emission deadlines during Court of Appeals hearings. I guess that's a neutral headline, but when you read the body of this, it pretty much gives all the attention to the people who say that the world is going to end and that we have to have bold changes in order to make sure that no one has energy.
Yeah. Well, there's, as we know, we've been talking about it, since we transitioned from COVID, there seems to be a big emphasis now on some sort of climate emergency. Of course, we heard recently a bunch of climate people, said, hey, there is no emergency. Yes, the climate's changing, but there's no emergency. But that doesn't stop the feel good virtue signaling, fact, not people who don't take facts into consideration, who are elected to office or non-elected to office and get to make rules and administrative rules for the rest of us.
Bobby says that the author of that article is Larry in disguise. We'll see. Maybe that it can be proven. And I think the last
I don't have diabetes, by the way, Larry. So.
The last two items here are just worth mentioning sort of in passing, which is that normally this would have been a headline, but as we know, Senator Dianne Feinstein died at age 90 over the weekend. She simply refused to no longer do her job in the Senate, and she died there pretty much. And so Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has appointed her replacement. And this person her name is LaFonza Butler. She's the president of the pro-abortion political group Emily's List. And so she'll probably be very neutral on the issue and listen to all sides, of course. So
she's registered to vote in Maryland, I understand.
Yeah. And there is question as to whether or not she's qualified to be in the U.S. Senate, but rules don't.
Maryland, California. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
She's closer to D.C., and that's where she's going to be working anyhow.
That's right. And also the group that she was the head of, or I don't know if maybe she still is the head of, had donated $5 million in political contributions during the 2022 election cycle. And I can promise you that was really not to Republicans. So to me, this is just Gavin Newsom virtue signaling because he wants to be the Democrat nominee when President Brandon fully collapses.
Dies in office.
Yeah. And this is just another pitch for that. Plus, he said he would get a woman of color, but then called her a caretaker because she's apparently not expected to run for re-election, though she could.
Oh, really?
So he managed to insult and impress at the same time. That sounds like Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
Impress.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's crazy the way politics works in the 21st century.
Well, let's end on one good piece of news. So there is a candidate for Attorney General here in Oregon. His name's Will Lathrop, a Republican. And he kind of rolled out what his campaign is going to be about. Ellen Rosenblum is not running for re-election. It is not clear what kind of field he's going to face yet, but certainly there will be a Democrat that runs for this position. And there will be. Because they kind of consider, no Democrats have actually confirmed yet, but they suspect that House Speaker Dan Rayfield is one of the people that might consider running. And but he said that he's planning to focus on voter unease with crime and drugs in Oregon in this race because Attorney General is the top law enforcement officer of the state.
Yeah, well, one would think if voter sentiment plays a factor in whether or not people get elected, that he would do very well. Seeing how most of the population, therefore most of the votes in the state of Oregon, are in fact high crime areas, you would think he'd be a shoo-in.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how much that has to do with actually winning elections anymore. Kind of shifted my view of that. I don't think it's about ideology anymore as it is about the mechanics of getting ballots.
That's entirely possible. He does say that everybody he talks to is frustrated with crime.
Mm-hmm.
They're frustrated with homelessness. They're tired of public corruption, like what we've seen with Shamia Fagan, and of course we're seeing with people like Val Hoyle. And the whole LaMotta thing. And they're worried about addiction and how it might affect their families, their communities, and their friends, is what he said. And so those are the issues. But like you said, will the issues hold sway? That's something we need to
hey, Oregon's D plus 10. Chances of winning a statewide seat are slim.
Well,
or not.
Well, let's see. I mean, all you can do is campaign on the right things and try to do the right things, and then if people still decide to vote to turn the entire state into a dystopian hellhole, then
like they did the last election.
yes, yeah. Well, they voted for the candidate for governor, Tina Kotek, ran for the governor of Multnomah County, and she won. And that's all she had to do by promising everybody abortion that they already get, and to oppose MAGA Republicans who have no power in the state.
Right.
So there you go. And by the way, she needs more money and more time to fix all the problems that you hate.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that is it Lathrop? Will Lathrop?
Yeah, Will Lathrop.
I'm glad Mr. Lathrop is stepping forward. It seems like it's been a couple of cycles since we've had a good, solid,
competent AG candidate.
Yeah. Seems like. I know we didn't last cycle.
No, we didn't. And the one before was not exactly a resolutely effective one either. So let's just call this the positive news for the night and close the book on tonight's captive audience with a lot of news and a lot to think about in the coming couple of days. Question about Measure 114. They finished making their arguments last week in court, but as of now, it says the state rests in Oregon gun laws trial. The plaintiffs rested several days before that, and we're just sitting waiting for a verdict. And I guess we'll find out if we have a Second Amendment in Oregon or not pretty soon. Yeah.
The judge did mention that the pro-gun lawyer did a great job, by the way.
Well, that's good. I mean, this is one judge that might give us an opportunity. He put a stay on it, but now we're going to find out if it's considered constitutional. And we know, of course, it almost certainly will end up going to the Court of Appeals and maybe to the state Supreme Court, depending on what the judgments are there. So let's see what happens. But that's the update there. Thank you for asking. And we will keep you updated on all this stuff as we go. And we'll be back tomorrow night with another episode of The Captive Audience. It'll be Sunny and Don. And thank you, Wrong Speaker Darnell, for joining me here.
Thank you, False Opinionator, Kevin Hoare.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for all that watch us both regularly as well as occasionally. We ask you to share this with everyone you can. We're on Rumble as well, so you can share that once I upload it. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great night, everyone.